Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. So, what what a beautiful, beautiful episode I'm gonna have today because I have a wonderful, wonderful guest named TJ, and I want to invite him to the show. So, give me just a second. Hey, TJ.
Hey, what's up, Kimberly?
Yeah. So I wanted to know, like, how, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Making some changes. I've been kind of engaging in more self-care. I've really
Hmm.
been wanting to, kind of reduce my workaholic drive and like desire to keep growing. Like I needed time to take a break.
And what is self-care that you're lacking? Like showers, what?
I think every self-care is different for everybody. Like one is self-care, one person may not be the same self-care for another. For me, self-care is just kind of like reconnecting with hobbies and activities that I like, put to the side because I wanted to focus on my career a lot more. So I'm like re-engaging with like hobbies I used to play with or like used to do, which is like, I love building Legos. Like I built like a Lego and everything, and getting back into like video games that really test me, like stuff like that that really connected with my like personal self outside of work.
I like that. What kind of games you play? You said you play Alchemy.
So I play like a lot of like challenging games that really like forces me to pay attention, forces me to like think outside of the box. I love things that really challenge me, that at the end of it teaches me something. When I'm done with the game, I gain something out of it. Like right now, I gotten into this game called Elden Ring, where everything kills you a lot, and I don't like dying because it makes me feel weak. And so it really tested my like ability to like say, okay, it's okay, I'm weak right now, it doesn't mean I'm going to be weak in the future. Because as a kid, if I wasn't good at something right away, I would stop playing it or not play it anymore. And I really want to change that about me, so I just gotten back into games that are like more challenging and really test me.
Pretty cool, man. Like, you know, men, they they're masters, they're wizards, they're alchemists at games. So
Hmm.
I got to give them, women have it too, but men are, you know, mostly
there's
in
just
power.
Yeah, there's just something about the drive to be challenged that I've always enjoyed. I feel like for me, if I'm not being challenged in my career or as a person, I'm not growing. And sometimes I don't want to challenge. Sometimes, like I had a client tell me, like, it's exhausting being challenged. It's exhausting working on yourself. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It sucks. It's hard when you have to do other responsibilities. But taking 5-10 minutes just in a day to do something for yourself can make the challenge a lot easier to manage.
Yeah, that's true. Taking self-care techniques to self-manage your care. So I'm gonna go from the script and then we're just gonna go question to question. But it should be just between you and I, about 40 minutes tops. So let's get started. This afternoon, we will be engaging in a specific dialogue geared to opening old wounds and healing and rebuilding new ones. TJ will be asking you a series, well, not me, sorry, I got it reversed. I will be asking TJ a series of questions. And basically we're just basically going to see how it goes from here. I don't have no fancy dialogue person actually reading my script for me. I don't sit up there, I'm not like on camera where I have people doing that. So it's an embarrassing moment, but it's something that we all can laugh at and move on. So moving on, when you say core beliefs, are you talking about truth, survival strategies, or stories that kept you alive long enough to become sophisticated? Do you personally tell the difference?
So, core beliefs, in my eyes, are both survival strategies and as well as something that builds a inner like rule of law within ourselves. The beliefs are based on this mental interpretation of what like an issue, an experience you went through. So it would be like if you were, maybe mom and dad left you alone for a long time, or you were abandoned as a child, you're that's an emotional experience. That's an emotional traumatic experience. What's going to end up happening is your brain's going to take that emotional experience, say, hey, this is what this emotional experiences mean. This is what it tells you about how to survive in this world. So for someone, it could be, I need to be perfect so I can be loved. I need to, I'm not good enough until I'm able to like succeed in a certain way. It's like these beliefs about how we should live, how we should govern, we should what we should believe in. These are the beliefs that really, impact us and shape us and influence us throughout our whole lives.
Well said. What do you think people are actually doing to protect when they cling to a harmful core belief, not the belief itself, but the function it serves? What does it buy them emotionally?
Hmm. When when you look at like when I'm looking at core beliefs in my sessions, it's core beliefs are like negative ones are so wildly held deeply. It's because we use those beliefs to construct our identity. We use those beliefs to figure out who we are and how to function in this world. So when you have a negative core belief, it's not like it's easy to break because you tie it so much to how you have lived for so long. It's like if you like imagine like you painted this canvas. You worked your whole life to where you are to get this canvas going, this painting going, and I come in and go, "Yeah, you got to update this because this is kind of making doesn't make sense and this doesn't make sense." And then you're adding these kind of things. You're gonna not be happy. You're gonna be upset. You're gonna be mad that like here someone's coming in telling you how you've constructed the narrative of your life. Your story is not all correct, and that's gonna upset you. We are very protective of that. That's why core beliefs around politics and religions are deeply held because they tie a lot of who we are and how we understand the world and others. To really like change a core belief is to be able to put down those defenses and re-examine it, to look at it through curiosity and say, where can I update this versus what needs to break, because we're not breaking a belief, we're updating it. That's how I more like to see it.
So the scars of a belief of something, how do you
Mm,
feel like you, how do you hijack that? Because, you know, you have like people here or wherever, however, that can actually, they learn and they master stuff. And I love that. I love that so much. And you said you do it and I do it. I have a master's. I'm working on my second master's. I love to learn. However, you know, there are people that I've used to work at a place called Starting Point, and I was a counselor trainee, and I
oh
used
wow.
to counsel like 50 people a month. And like it's like no matter what, you know, I always used to struggle with the same thing. And no one actually gave me a chance.
Mm,
And we both mastered things.
mm.
However, you know,
It's interesting when I look at
you
education and learning.
please don't cut me off. Like you, like you, what you've mastered and what I've mastered is two different things. We seek the same knowledge, yet we
Mhm,
have two different points. If you use what you use for your purpose, and I use what I use for my purpose, I don't know who might go where.
mhm. Makes sense.
So, how do you feel about what I just said?
It's interesting when I think about education and learning. People hold their degrees and their education very valuably. I grew growing up in a world where, you know, I felt like I was forced into education. Like education was everything. You had to have straight A's or be number one. I felt like I never like I loved learning different things around psychology, sociology, philosophy. However, it wasn't like, you know, getting that master's degree was like a symbol of that. I think I grew up very much in survival mode. It never felt like I could enjoy my education, enjoy that. Yeah, I have a master's. I never saw it as a big deal. And I think it's because like there was always this idea that there was something bigger than just a master's that I should be achieving. So no matter what, my brain always went, "Oh, you got a degree. Great. What's next?" I never took time to enjoy it.
That's how I feel. I sat up there, and now that I'm taking the time to enjoy where I'm at with my second master's that I should be getting, and I feel very good about that. You know, that is very, it's been hard. However, you know, I'm getting signs from different places that I should sit up there and keep moving forward. I'm getting all the signs that all you have to do, it may be barriers, but all you have to do is climb those barriers and you can make it. It's not going to be easy. I mean,
Mm,
if it was that easy, everybody would get a master's, right?
yeah, that's true. If it was that easy. I mean, my last like my 2 years in my master's program were some of the most rigorous times of my life. I still remember some really dark moments.
Yeah. And I'm willing to sit up there and turn my dark moments into life lessons and lessons learned,
Yeah,
you
and that
know.
kind of goes back to that idea of like core beliefs, is that lessons learned, those experiences taught me something. I kind of see core beliefs as like scars we've like gained from battles that we have survived, and those scars remind us of lessons that we learned from that gave us those scars. It's kind of like I always tell people, like I was my ex and we were in a very violent. Okay,
Yeah, I'm okay. Go ahead, continue. I'm listening.
me and my ex, we were in a very like dark relationship that was filled with like a lot of violence, and like she ended up like, you know, really hurting me physically and leaving a scar on me. And yeah, like I got a whole scar and everything.
Whoa. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a, like I said, a difficult time in my life where we were both the worst versions of ourselves. And that relationship really left us like a lasting message, a lasting belief that love should not hurt. If you love someone, why would they want to hurt you? If you love someone, why would they want to put you down or make you feel terrible or control you? Like, if I'm in a relationship, like, I want the partner to complement my life, not be a center of it or try to control it. It should be a mutual two stories coming together. And that was the biggest belief that changed in me after that relationship is love should not hurt anybody.
Well said. That kind of took the breath out of me right there. Like seriously, I think that love is hate. No, someone that hates you, you know, is not gonna love you.
Hmm.
And it always comes out wrong. However, sometimes, you know, I reflect back to me because I want people to know that sometimes, it may seem as though it's a hateful circumstance, but you have to make people feel in order for them to wake up. You can't, and that if we can rewind the tape, you have to make people feel in order to get them to wake up. And that's why I do what I do. It's a simple skill. However, I don't do it out of spite. I don't do it out of hatred. I say things so they be like, why? And then they think deep down inside, this is why. I know why, like type thing.
Yeah, that's very true. It's interesting because when a lot of my sessions, I tell my clients in the beginning, I'm a challenging therapist. I'm going to call things out. I'm not going to let you avoid. I'm not going to sit you uncomfortable. At times, you will not like me. You will sometimes hate me because I'm calling things out that are uncomfortable to sit in. I have clients who like you're right, you have to put them in their feels. You have to put them in their feelings because when you're in that emotional vulnerable state, that's the window of like opportunity to really reshape a core belief. You have to be able to sit in something uncomfortable about yourself, about a belief that you have that really has been shaken at the core. Because then when you're the most uncomfortable, when you're in the most emotional uncomfortable place, change can happen. You have to be willing to get there.
When we're uncomfortable, it's like, and I've been uncomfortable plenty of times. I'm like, when is the government going to stop making me feel uncomfortable? But,
Mhm.
however, it's a life lesson, and I enjoy every moment of it. When I have these feelings that it's like I'm growing. I feel myself growing. I feel myself like getting better. I don't see myself, even though I still have like mental health will never go away.
Yeah.
The symptoms aren't exacerbated. So I I constantly look for healthy techniques to enlighten and stimulate my brain where I am thinking clear, I can focus, like creatine, you
Mhm.
know, um, that's a brain muscle enhancer. And I can explain a lot of stuff. I heard of the stuff that Kim Kardashian is taking for it, it kind of like reverses aging. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
So I was going to start with a D or NDM or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
a narcotic, but but it's a newer type drug that works on the blood flow or the body for women and stuff.
Mhm.
It pretty cool stuff.
That is just kind of cool.
Yeah. And let me see. In your view, what is the difference between a core belief that is true and a core belief that is useful? Which one matters more in actual lived human life and why?
See, the thing is, I always will go towards what is true because we have to look at objective truth. What is objectively that we all can agree on is true. If you have a car accident and you have 8 different witnesses, that's 8 different stories, 8 different narratives, 8 different belief systems that are gonna, shape how the car accident's been seen, based on how they view the driver, based on they view the car, based on different identity like markers. And a belief that's useful can be useful in the past. Something that helped you survive may not help you survive anymore. If you needed to be perfect as a child just to survive your household, like just to be that, makes sense, but you're not there anymore. You're not a child anymore. You're an adult, but that belief is still there. It was useful, but it's not true anymore. And you want to always hold to true objective beliefs. Sometimes you can be bad, sometimes you can be good. Not all people are bad. Sometimes you will be imperfect, and that's okay. Sometimes, and that the biggest one, you are enough. You've been always enough since you were born. But growing up, you were told you weren't until you held to that belief. It was useful to help you survive growing up and living that life, but if it's not holding you back, making you in a bit be unable to make friends, be yourself, live in this world, then that's not useful anymore.
Well said. Well said. I like that. I get every word. I like that. Oh man. Whew. So I mean, I don't know. So like I don't I don't want to reflect my life to what you said, however, I will say that that is true in some circumstances. You have to let go of what's been negatively affecting you. Like if you have negative thoughts, like what's going on in your life negative, you got to give up. So, but,
It's
huh?
I was gonna say it's interesting because even for myself, I still have negative beliefs that are still useful in my head. I still hold on to a lot of things that I need to let go. I am working through it. It's just hard.
You know, people, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. People like me with my negative, well, something someone told me a couple of days ago. They said, hurt people. And so I'm just gonna, I've done that before, and we all have. And I I am so like I'm being honest when I say I am very, very sorry for like if I came across as such a bad person. And maybe tomorrow I do it. I don't know. I don't want to do it. However, I'm not doing this for I immigrants to me are smart people. They're very, very highly smart. Mark Rubio is very smart. Elon Musk is very smart. I had one Indian guy on Indian Standard Time that's very smart that came on my show. And then I have you. You talk about a lot about psychology. You scratch the surface. I just want to keep this positive. So, last question though. What core belief do you think modern society rewards that is psychologically corrosive? The one that gets you applauded while it slowly ampulate wait amputates, sorry, your soul. Don't laugh.
There's, I would say, probably the belief around, perfection and not feeling like you are enough. I think that is a belief that society really instills into humans, this idea that you have to chase perfection, and that like it's impossible because it doesn't make sense in my head. Like, perfection does not exist. It's a social construct created by people to, and it's subjective. What's perfect for one person is not perfect for another person. So you'll be chasing something, but no one can give you an objective perfection because objective perfection doesn't exist. So you're chasing something that you'll never get. And society keeps pushing people to this idea that you have to chase perfection, you have to exhaust yourself, you have to give up everything to be perfect. Just one day, that once you're perfect, maybe then you'll be accepted. Maybe then you'll be loved. Maybe then you'll be enough. And I say, no, that stuff decays you as a person. It puts you down. It tells you that you'll never be enough. And I'm here to tell you, no, you were perfect the day you were born. You were perfect the day you came out into this world. You've been always been enough. And then society comes along and twists that message of saying, hey, no, actually, you need to be this. You need to do this. You need to be this. Our schooling system does the same thing. It's like if you teach a fish, if you try to teach a fish to climb a tree, it's gonna think it's an idiot. And a lot of people walk around thinking they're idiots. And it's sad. It really hurts to see so many people's beliefs being around this idea of perfection and performance. I need to be perfect. I need to model myself to what other people want. There's this commercial I really love where it's a insurance commercial where everybody is wearing Halloween costumes and that's like their daily life. Someone like, I'm gonna wake up and be an astronaut and go to work, and people felt more authentic to themselves. They were being themselves. And I kind of feel like society has robbed people their authenticity and their acceptance of themselves.
Wow, yeah, society has robbed their authenticity of themselves, and I get what you're saying. Yeah, I feel the same way too. Like, um, I don't strive to be perfect. I kind of like not being perfect. It seemed like when I was like, I just don't want to be perfect. I I don't think that it's appropriate. I
Yeah,
think learning is more important. I'd rather be smart and learning than perfect.
it's
And that's
interesting.
yeah.
No, I agree with you. Like, it's a lot. Um, I think for me, even now, there's still this desire to, like when I play that game and I want to be like beat the boss in the first level and be perfect right away, and I get mad when it doesn't happen, and I got to redo. It sucks. It sucks to feel these chains on you around this like concept that you can't be imperfect. Like every time you make a mistake, you feel like the most crap you ever feel about yourself, and that doesn't make sense. Why? Like, mistakes helps us grow. We have to make mistakes to grow. We have to fail to, overcome. But if we're so afraid of failing, then we will never overcome. We rather be comfortable than uncomfortable, then we'll never overcome. To overcome is to face uncertainty and fear head on, because that's courage. I'm scared and I'm still gonna do it. That's courage. And let me ask you this, Kimberly. Like, when you look at your own beliefs, what are beliefs that look you ask yourself, like, do I still want to hold on to this belief? Is this a belief that is serving me a purpose, or is it just keeping me down? What would you say?
I don't actually, if it's a belief that is keeping me down, like I would feel like I have no I plead the fifth. I don't know really. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I have so much I want to say. However, I've had issues in my life. You've had issues in your life where it's no longer suiting you to be something you aren't, maybe. I don't know. However, I don't feel that way. I feel like everything I do not trying to be perfect, but learning about myself more and more. I had no time in high school to learn about myself. I had no time in the army to learn about myself. I had no time when I was with my husbands to learn about myself. However, as I sat up there and grew to be stronger while independent, I
Mhm.
learned what I wanted out of life. And so I accelerated my life. I've been in school 20 years. So it really I'm okay.
Mm,
I'm not there yet, but I'm okay.
that makes sense. I think for me to answer that question is, yeah, I feel like I still have beliefs that hold me down. I feel like I still have difficulties with my feelings around community and my feelings around my culture. That, my caregivers were the ones who introduced me to my culture, introduced me to my world, and also help me connect with my community. But the trauma that was inflicted onto me scared me. I'm scared of people. I'm scared of community. I like, growing up and always feeling that outsider feeling has become a belief. Like, I am an alien. I feel like an alien all the time. I feel like I feel there's a sense that I don't belong in this world. That, I'm human but I'm not human. And that's because of my experiences growing up, feeling that, nobody looks like me, nobody acts like me. So it's created this fear of, like, when I go to a concert and everybody's feeling that, that energy, that group energy around, like, dancing with everybody. I don't feel that. I just feel like an individual in survival mode because there's too many people around and they freak me out. There's this, you know belief around community scares me. Community is bad. They're gonna hurt me because, well, that's what, as a kid, I experienced. And it's a belief I still need to break, and it's one that's going to take a lot of time.
How many people do you see? Like, how do you know all that, and you breaking barriers? I mean, you got 9 people that you see a day, plus you run a business. So I mean, just like Trump do, and like I'm doing, just work
Yeah, but
or
that's like
keep
my
yourself
personal
busy
side.
enough to forget.
That's not like my therapist side. Like, my therapist side loves what he does, loves what he, like, enjoys. One-on-one therapy sessions, group therapy. I love that stuff. However, it's also because I'm the therapist in the room. I have control of the room. I feel safe because I'm the professional. In my personal life, when I'm in, like, a community setting, when I go out to some place, I don't like. I brings a sense of fear. I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I don't know how to do things that, you know, talk like a regular person. I think I've lost that because I've given so much of myself to my therapist side, that, to, because of my fear of community, my fear of connecting with other people. People scare me. Social media has made it worse, even more. So for me, it's I work with people a lot. Yes, I talk to them. I do individual sessions, but that doesn't, destroy something that's given to me by childhood.
Yeah, I wish I could relate. I wish I could. Um, I love social media. If it wasn't for social media, like people all over my networks, I wouldn't be going live right now. I hate to see some people, maybe it's some people more sensitive than others, and I get that it's beginning to be a wave of something, a pattern of something, so just adjust the technology or whatever is causing it, and we can move on from, you know, depression and anxiety and all of that stuff that stems from over active brain use of technology. you know?
Hmm. There's this social media is not bad. It helps bridge connections from faraway places. It shows what's happening. It allows, information to really spread and for people to really connect. It also, can bring out the worst sides of us because of algorithms and companies creating an emotional aggressive response in you. When you see something that upsets you, you're gonna more likely click it. There was an article that came out about Facebook making its algorithms, send show you ads that really created more negative emotions because you were more likely to click. For me, it's social media is a powerful tool, and when you leave it in the hands of companies that don't care about people but care about the bottom line, then you're going to see a social media that focuses on creating negative experiences within the person.
You know, I'll admit, I've had my YouTube page taken away um, 2 times. I've had TikTok been like P. Diddy and say I cancel it and I'll reopen it and cancel it again. But I have never like I've had negative because of my negativity that I've learned to master. And I don't like to talk like that. However, I didn't get no likes. I mean, we all the people that were on my page, they're coming around now, and big shout out to you guys. I love you guys. Thank you, and y'all know how I feel. However, like prior to that, I didn't get no likes.
Mm.
And it's funny and it's not funny. It's not that I'm mad. I'm not mad at no one. They have a right, and so that's their goal. My page was taken away, but no one, the point is being honest that no one did that. Like no one liked my stuff. So, I mean, you say that it's negative. People are quick to push something negative when I rarely see people that were on there. Like, or maybe they shielded it from me, cybersecurity. I don't know. However, I I have to challenge that
It's
in a good way.
interesting. No, it's fine. It's interesting because one thing you're pointing out, Kimberly, is you're speaking from your own subjective experience. You never had that issue. You haven't had, a lot of negative comments. But when you look at it objectively, in like people that use social media, on average, you get people that do get a lot of negative comments. If you only speak from your experience, then yeah, from your experience, you haven't had that bad of a time. But
I
for people,
agree. I
you're
agree.
you have to look at it outside of yourself. How many people use social media and feel suicidal? How many people get cyberbullied? How many people will post something and next minute they're viral, but now their entire like life is like going upside down because they posted a video that they thought was funny, but now it's getting all these negative comments. Social me-
Well,
social
I,
media
I,
feeds into it.
I got negative comments. I welcome the negative comments. I'm not even mad about negative comments. If the White House blocked everyone that spoke
Mhm.
negative about them. However, if you say something that is off the wall about like switchboard, kill switch type thing, then yeah, I'm going to block you.
Mhm.
However, you know, if you're talking about my hair or whatever, I don't care. It's hurtful, yeah, but I get more mad off of people talking about Nicki Minaj or Donald Trump or the
Mhm.
cabinet or anybody that they I get more not mad, but I get like more, how can I say it? It's not even it's between mad and irritated. Like
Mhm.
somebody said something about Nikki, like she's not even relevant to the rapper cause. And I'm like, are you relevant? I'm not relevant, case in point, but this was in a magazine or on Facebook somewhere, and I I'm like, please just be fair and kind. I don't, like if Cardi B sat up there and snuck people and hit people in the face and beat them up and then drug people, possibly, that's what I says, then I have no, it doesn't, it's not, it's just wrong. Like, don't, I have every right to give my opinion. However, others, about people that has worked hard, worked hard to get where they going and where they've been. They had to they had to weave through, surgery. They had to go through stuff with their children, with their husband, with everyone. And then and now she I remember the first episode real when they said Donald Trump admires you, and the face she made. This was during her heightened career, and then it just was steady. They just stopped trying to play her,
Hmm.
and yeah, I yeah, I love them. I really do, because they acknowledge me.
Hmm. That's the thing about negative comments that people forget. Even though there's a negative feeling associated with it, you are still being acknowledged as existing. When we like, what's worst, being hated or not being acknowledged? Like, what would you rather be, a nobody or a hated somebody? What
I'm not neither. You can be loved and acknowledged.
you can
You
be,
know.
it's just hard because what's going to cause a stronger reaction out of someone? Negative emotions or positive emotions? Do people recognize when good things are good, or do they recognize when bad things are bad? When things are going good, are you ever able to stop and say things are going pretty good for me and I'm able to recognize that? Or when bad things happen, you're more aware of it. People often are aware of the more bad things because that's how our brains have developed. Danger is everything. So if I'm feeling negative or have a negative comment that really attacks me, it makes my brain go survival mode and I need to deal with this thing. Humans are still very much animals, and you're going to respond like, Kimberly, everything you said, like, comes from your subjective experience, and I'm going to validate the subjective experience because that's your experience of it. However, I've met people who've had bad experiences with social media or have trouble with dealing with criticism because of their own issues. No one human is alike. You cannot compare one person's life experience to another. You can compare the emotions they experienced on it because emotions are universal. We've all felt guilt, shame, happy, sad, angry, but we cannot say that we are each understanding of someone's complete experience. And then when you look at a bigger, from your outside of yourself in a group lens, a lot of people, like, what has social media has become a landscape of, you know algorithms, bots, people talking mean things to each other. There's like now separation between this group and this group and this place and this place. Twitter has this thing, then Reddit has this thing, Facebook has a thing now. Like, I remember the wild west of the internet. I remember when things were just like when Facebook first came out, or when there was a bunch of 100 different websites you could go on. There was one where you clicked a button and it'll send you to a different website that was just games and stuff. Like, I remember the beginnings. It also, I'm not surprised how we where we got here, but it's just like, I don't know. It makes me a little sad. I miss the old days, but that's just me being nostalgic.
Yeah, I think the old days were more better, and you had like different things you can do. Even though it was more condensed, you had your plug in to the internet, the wire that connects to the wire within the
Hmm.
actual house, and then the connection that goes to the wires in the street. Like, it's just amazing, and I'm so, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a beautiful thing knowing that you know, it I don't know. It's I went too far with the electrical thing. I do that. My brain goes farther, but like to seep back in, the internet, I miss the old days with the internet. I'll just sum it up. I miss the old days with how, you know, we used to stay out past 6, street lights come on, you come back, it was a beautiful thing. Or you sit up there and you sometimes, good days, I rarely had those, but so I watched other people have them. Through TV, I sat up there and I watched good people since childhood, and now I either like have an opinion about them for good or opinion about them for bad. Take it in case in point. My mother spent her last bit of welfare check to go see Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, and that is where I first saw Trump in the
Mhm.
movie theaters. Yeah,
It's, you're talking about good and bad. And I always ask myself, how do you define morality around good and bad? Who defines what's good and bad? Um,
yeah.
you define it by someone's actions? Do you define it by their thoughts? How do you define what's good and bad? Is it, society based? Is it individually? I think you learn that it's a mixture of a lot of different things. Like, I see a lot of people, but I've never seen a bad person. I never said this person is born bad. I feel like I essentially look at you from your consistent actions. What actions are you consistently repeating? People can make a change. Anyone can change. I can do something different tomorrow, but can I keep it consistently going? Can I show consistent change and really work on myself? If someone does something bad, I don't say, okay, you did a bad thing, but it doesn't mean you're bad. But if you consistently keep doing that bad thing, then I'm gonna say now you're holding this idea that all your actions are focused on bad. Does that mean you're a bad person? No, but you are most someone that's gonna more likely do bad actions because clearly that's what you keep following.
I can't relate to that.
Wow.
TJ. I
I
don't.
mean,
Why are we even talking about going back and forth talking about me in the
well,
first
because
place?
I have to work with a lot of different types of people. If I think someone's bad, how can I support or help them? If I always view like someone is bad, I have to then that becomes an unconscious biasy that prevents me from building this empathy and connection with my client. I've met a lot of people. I've worked in the forensic system where people have committed heinous crimes. But if I hold this idea that they're bad people, then I can't help anybody. I have to be at least willing to hold that benefit of the doubt, especially in my line of work.
I'm okay with what you're saying, TJ. I am 100% okay. However, I'm showing you who I am. It's nothing that I haven't said, that I haven't given you or anybody else with 20,000 hours of footage. So if this is about back and forth, good cop, bad cop, or whatever, I don't like that. The narrative was not on me. This was to make you a better person. I understand your degrees and everything, but this was to help bring observation on you. And what I observe in being a counselor training is that you're trying to extract information from me. And that is very like disappointing when you should be talking about either your clients or you should be talking about either yourself, which you have. You said that you don't do self care. You said that you have issues with certain things. But
Mm.
it just sounds to me like, I'm like some man, a man that is in the army goes 30 days without taking a shower. A man a woman can't do that. I've never done that, case in point. So, what are you trying to get at?
that, you know,
What self-care is you trying to talk about?
so here's the thing. I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care what other people think, to be honest with you. Like, Kimberly, this is your show. You can do whatever you want. The biggest thing is for me is I'm just going to share you my perspective, and that's all I have is my perspective. I have my knowledge and I have
I
my
think
expertise. And
everything you said has been 100% good for my audience. However, I don't want
wait,
this to be
the
about
biggest
me.
thing, but here's the thing. I'm gonna, ask questions to not to extract information because Kimberly, you're right. I'm not gonna extract information from you because you're not my client. I'm not doing therapy, but I'm gonna be curious.
Oh, you know, it's funny. You're probably getting back into yourself or doing your therapy. That's probably what you do. You analyze, and you just so
Girl,
happen to want to analyze me.
it is my day off. The last thing I want to do is analyze.
You sure? Because that's what you've
Yeah,
done. You've been back and forth. You like, you said words. So let me tell you what you've done. I feel like I don't do self-care. And I feel like I
and
think
that's why
self-care is
I
something. And then you'll shut up. And then I have to go in a dialogue about me and say, okay, is this, what about me? Do I self-care? Yes, I self-care. So
so you
what
made it
what I can't relate to
yourself.
that, bro.
Like you can relate to taking care of yourself.
I can relate to taking care of myself. I can't relate to not having self-care because that is a basic need.
That's Here's the thing. When you people are perfectionists, when they're workaholics, when they push and over push themselves, self-care is not something they prioritize because they want to achieve. For me, the reason I've been doing self-care is because I'm taking a step back and saying, hey, I need to, check in on myself because I don't want this to affect my work if I'm not taking care of myself. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it always makes sense. Like I feel like you 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 you're a great therapist, like I think everything that you're saying is good. And it's my, you can kind of say it's my fault because I begin to, since you carefully, plant this with the questions, how I like to go off subject, to get to the root of who you really, even with therapists or psychologists or psychiatrists, that's why they kind of refrain the big dogs from really saying much. It's more directed questions, and that's what you're giving me right now.
Mm, sure. I do like being challenged. Like the biggest thing is when it comes to my work and who I am in terms of like self-care, core beliefs and stuff, I have my perspectives, I have my views, but for me, I don't know, I'm just trying to live like anybody else. I'm not trying to like hurt anybody or say my view is 100% correct. Nobody's view is 100% correct. There's always nuances to everything. Are you willing to be uncomfortable with yourself and look at yourself and say, maybe I could be wrong here. Maybe I don't have all the answers. I'm in a very healthy relationship because I'm willing to say, crap, I might be wrong. She has a good point. I do mess up. I do make mistakes. I do things that can be seen as bad actions, but then I always stop and say, what can I do differently? How can I keep working on it? Because that's what I have to do. That what makes me able to function and live in this world is because I am constantly assessing and saying, what do I need to change and grow? And also trying to be happy with the growth I've made so far.
The growth that I work on is really it's a lot, like I I get what you're saying. However, I'm if we learn anything, we learn that you have a type of I don't know if it's in a DSM-5, but you sometimes you do it out of your job. It's like a machine, like you jump, you just analyze it, and I get it. And you're a good person. That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad person to analyze. You asked me off camera how I felt, and
Wait, Kimberly, define your definition of analyzing.
you said it out of your mouth on camera. You
What
said
is analyzing?
that means you read through every word, every letter, every sentence that I'm saying to see how I'm going to react to what you are saying.
Doesn't everybody do that?
I don't. I really don't unless I feel like it's a threat and I have to put someone on blast,
Could your
you
brain
know.
be unconsciously analyzing?
It's one thing to feel uncomfortable. It's one thing to feel overtly uncomfortable, my friend.
I
Like
mean, I'm
I
just
can
saying, like,
see,
that's what I'm asking. Like, don't human brains naturally analyze their surroundings to figure out what to do next?
yeah, but I have to ask you this question. What do you seek out of me? Because what you seek out of me is how you are reacting to me, which is questioning me, probing me. This isn't about, you know, the subject. This is about probing me. And I don't find that appropriate for my show.
When you say
I'm not,
probing,
I don't
when
want to be included with, and I don't want you to have to include your detail of your clients, but I don't want to have to be included in something unless we're talking about a Jane Doe or John Doe, someone that doesn't exist, someone that is just not like, and
wouldn't
it's like,
wouldn't you want your audience to know a more authentic you, to be able to connect better with them? So by sharing things about yourself, wouldn't they feel more connected to you?
I always want them to know about me, and I don't. I actually, I have this. Fortunately, I have this. I do this all the time. I let them know me, and I appreciate you. Like I really do. I really do. I truly do, and I mean what I say. I really do. That don't make you less than or a bad person. However, this show did not go as anticipated, and hey, I hope someone learned something, which is, to make sure that, you stay vigilant and grow, and don't let negativity overcome and take you. You must extract negativity out of your life. But like anything else, like I I don't know what it was about me, like I'm running as a candidate, and you making me talk about like things that I would talk about. I got an appointment, dog, with a veteran hospital. I don't need like somebody, trying to analyze me. Like I just wanted you to talk to me as a human, as a person, but
Question,
you
but what question to
reflected
ask that?
everything that you could dig up on me because it wasn't that it was true. However,
Wait. Can you ask me what I digged up on you?
you've said a lot of stuff that was
Can
very
you give me one?
questionable. I know hygiene isn't one, but I know other things is one. And I can be honest, I it's nothing wrong with that.
But
Believe
which
me, I would
question?
know.
But I'm just confused on like which question I asked that made you feel analyzing.
I don't Give me a second. I work like a Macintosh, a old floppy disk Macintosh.
Think
So
one thing I teach people is communication what you hear is not always what they say. Humans will
You
naturally
mastered that, right? We can
humans.
both agree.
I haven't mastered anything. I
You
just
telling
worked
me
in.
what you've mastered,
I
which
never said
is
I
what you've
mastered.
learned. You're telling me what you've learned.
You can learn something and not be a master of it. Like
You've
learning something.
mastered how to reflect other person or
No,
people's problems.
I've gotten better at as a therapist to understand deeper communications with couples because that's just couples therapy work is communication based. Everybody says communication is the cornerstone to a strong relationship. So I make sure that couples are able to gain communication skills that really improve that. For one thing, I teach them is just because you say something is not what's going to be interpreted by the person who's hearing it, because they will see it through their own lens. So that's what I'm just trying to understand is what question gave you that interpretation that I was analyzing.
Well, you said a couple of things. You talked about a lot of stuff, and it's a couple of things that you said that I noticed that were kind of questionable, and I may not can repeat them. That doesn't make me a bad person or catching dementia. However, when I go back to the tape, I will
Hmm.
see exactly what you said that relates to me. So that's how we'll address that.
Okay, that's fine. The biggest thing is there's this idea kind of floating around that I'm saying that do you feel like I'm saying that you're a bad person or that I'm trying to get like something out of you? Where's that feeling coming from?
I feel so negative right now because it's like I'm talking to a therapist that has mastered a lot of skills and
But,
have a lot of achievements, which mean that, like I said, if you rewind the tape, if you ever watch
but
the tape again, I
I
said,
never said I mastered anything.
huh?
I never said I mastered anything.
If you rewind the tape, you said a lot. You said enough about mastering things.
Mastering what?
Master. I feel so bad for how you are trying to ruin my candidacy or test my intelligence because I hit a nerve about you. Every time I talk, I said, please, we had an agreement. We had an agreement. I said, don't cut me off. And you did that through the whole show. I make a point, you cut in between. Is that factual? Is that factual, therapist, LMFT therapist?
Don't you want to be factual?
No. Is that factual?
Wait, asking if that is factual that I did what?
Is it
I did
factual that
fact,
you're doing what you're doing by cutting me off? You hate me that much, sir? That's
I
not
never
making
said that.
someone feel uncomfortable. And if you are a therapist, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You
How
ought to
have I
be
made you?
very ashamed of yourself for using your techniques against someone that has mental health. That is an invasion of the mind. That is
So
like
when
Manchurian candidate
if I have mental health issues too, does that mean it's not okay? Like
what
that's
is
what I'm
not
confused on.
okay is what you just did for a whole. I let you talk and I analyzed you for a whole hour. I
So
let
you
you
analyzed
talk.
me.
I analyzed you only because you analyzed me. Because I'm wondering, where are you going with this? It makes no sense to keep going back and forth about me. I didn't pay you money to analyze me. I didn't tell you to analyze me. We came and we had an agreement to talk about the questions. And then you started
The
playing
questions
games.
around
No,
core
stop,
belief.
stop. You
The
were playing
questions
games.
around
You
core
were
belief.
playing games saying specific stuff you actually carefully orchestrated. You carefully orchestrated.
You asked me for the
Don't
question.